Hello, it's Matt O'Leary, and it's time for some jazz fusion. But not just any jazz fusion, this is, punch for punch, one of the most technically gifted bands you could ever imagine. It's Dirty Loops, and they're back. Dirty Loops is made up of three devilishly talented Swedes: Jonah Nilsson, the pianist and vocalist, and Henrik Linder, the bassist, and Aaron Mellergaard on drums. And they're really in the same vein as some more popular and much beloved jazz virtuosos like Jacob Collier or Snarky Puppy. Some YouTube covers of pop songs by like Justin Bieber and Adele kind of put them on the map earlier in the decade, and then they put out an album in 2014 called Loopified, and then they went on this long hiatus up until now, and honestly I thought they were done. I was pretty worried. Apparently it was the classic, creative differences that kept the band from moving forward and creating new material, but honestly that's really understandable given the nature of the music. I mean, each of these guys has unbelievable talent and chops on their instrument. They are incredible musicians, and you thought they were going to move on from Justin Bieber cover to something that, was more serious and sophisticated and, the jazz guys play. But instead, they doubled down and wrote a batch of songs with perfectly polished hooks and way over-the-top vocals and obnoxious synths and just hilarious manipulations and effects. Just as sweet and sugary and saccharine as any radio pop you've ever heard. And somehow it worked. Instead of trying to restrain and control their masturbatory tendencies on their instruments, they just overdid absolutely everything. They crossed the line into the absurd, into the laughable, but the thing was that they were in on the joke. Just the sheer audacity of the songs, Hit Me and Sexy Girls and It Hurts. I mean, Loopified was a very acquired taste. Needless to say, some pop jazz fusion didn't do too well on the charts, but I think if you threw any one of these songs on the radio, just, slide it in on a Tuesday afternoon kind of casually, you'd have tons of calls about it. I think it'd blow away anything on the Billboard charts. So it's easy to see how three larger-than-life musicians could be easily tugged in different creative directions. We were fools for thinking they'd ever sort it out and come back together with any passion or new ideas. But no, we've got a new cut, we got a new video from the boys, with Quincy Jones' production behind the track. Obviously, there's a pretty big budget here, and the video shows them having a great time, and it seems really authentic and real, and like they're ostensibly at least over their petty differences. And clearly they're sticking with the tongue-in-cheek sort of mode, with the opening sequences having some gunshot blasts and a cow's desperate moo. I linked the video below, and this song rules. The opening 3 minutes is pretty standard Dirty Loops fare with this very repetitive pop and soul vocal, but there's a kind of creepy, mysterious Eastern vibe to the instrumental. It's probably brought on by the West African sounding instruments thrown in there, one of which it's kind of like the shaking percussion sort of thing, kind of like those drum-shaped instruments with the beads on the outside. And then there's some toned instrument in there that sounds like the tabla a little bit, but I'm not sure if it is. I'm getting some strong Pat Metheny or Pat Metheny and Lyle Mays vibes, like something on the album Off Ramp. And thanks to the unsung hero, the fourth member of the band, Simon Petrin, who does production and mixing and everything. It seems like he was involved in the creation of the video as well. The full dynamic range of this song is so clear. Like, you can hear every single instrument across the mix just with perfect clarity. Henrik lays down a steady bass line, and I've always kind of thought of him as the anchor of the band a little bit, but Jonah's ability to multitask, to play these complex jazz piano lines and then also sing these crazy runs on top of that is astounding. The track fades out about 3 minutes into this hazy, dreamy piano solo, which is probably one of Dirty Loops' most wholesome moments, before Henrik jumps back in and the solo ramps up to Corey Henry territory, and then Aaron just keeps getting the energy going and they hammer out some prog grooves. The song fades out again and clears the path for a build-up into a drum solo of epic proportions. A solo so colossal, like a torrential downpour onto the kit. Good Lord Almighty. Then back into the prog, and everything closes out on this grand cinematic note with credits scrolling. The end of the song goes a long way in establishing Aaron not just as this introverted background piece, this support system to two outlandish characters, but a force to be reckoned with all on his own. They bring everything to the table on this track. It's a seismic return for the band, one that outdid any of my wildest expectations, and I think will blow anyone away, whether you're an obscure jazz head or just a radio listening top 40 music fan. There's still going to be people who just outright dismiss the band altogether. I mean, this band is not for everyone, but I encourage you to just really try to understand what they're going for, because I think if you catch on to that, you'll get it. And I, for one, am back on the train. I could not be more excited for a second album. I just end up giggling every time I listen to Dirty Loops, and this is a 10 out of 10 track for me. And the best part of this is, you know, they're having fun. They're just laughing in the studio, and it feels really genuine and infectious. Everything about it is glossy and sublimely executed. Please tune into the band, please check out the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. And as always, thank you so much for watching.